Good morning, GMGM. It is another beautiful day. Do have a beautiful day. Well, no, it's actually not that beautiful day out here in Chicago, but we'll pretend it is. Welcome to another episode of Fomo Hour. I think this is episode 170. Folks, our first show of August 1st, 2024. It is a rainy, gloomy morning here in Chicago. A bit of a parallel with these crypto markets this morning with some on the board. We'll get into that here in a bit. No Farouk today. He'll be back tomorrow, but we've got Mando. He is back to catch us up on the market. Mando, GM, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Yeah, not the best day in the markets, but everything's good for me.
Yeah, a little bit of a little surprise coming out of some of the FOMC. I think stock's doing okay, but yeah, we'll chat about it here in a bit. Folks, what are we going to talk about on today? We had the big FOMC meeting yesterday. We'll talk reactions to that. We'll talk some crypto price action, perhaps why. What are some of the factors causing this dip? Tether's big profits in 2024. Lummis officially introing the Bitcoin into U.S. Congress. We've got Polymarket just coming off of a record smashing month, some massive numbers. Van Eck, they laid out their sailor version of price targets for Bitcoin for 2050. These are some eye-popping numbers. We've got memes bleeding, but a few big winners on the board. And a couple of NFT headlines, if we've got time, that we may get into here as well. With that, Mando, why don't we get into the market report if we've got the intro song there? So.
Who is the man, macro daddy of the land? Can you dig it?
Yeah, well, we've come a little bit lower now, right? Like I think Solana was at 193 just 3 days ago, or just over 3 days ago. Bitcoin was at 70K. ETH was at, where was ETH? 3,500 area, or 3,400 area. So a decent move lower across all three of those over the last 3 days. I don't really know. Initially, you had the movements of Mount Gox, and then the government, U.S. government moving that Bitcoin. We didn't really rebound then. Then you had like a little bit of sell-off in stocks, so maybe it was related to that. And then yesterday, you had the Fed. I don't really see why crypto reacted poorly to the Fed. We have had a negative correlation for the last few months with stocks. So maybe you could say this is a continuation of that negative correlation. My honest opinion, though, is this is an unwinding of the Trump trade, which we're seeing. That's what I think we've seen. The odds of a Trump presidency have gone down quite substantially. I think from about 69% to about 55%. In the space of just a few days. So on the back of basically JD Vance not being seen as a good candidate for VP, and then just a few kind of gaffes. And yesterday's, although it was like quite divisive gaffe at the, I think it was National Association of Black Journalists, which I don't know, just didn't. Some people thought he did well, other people didn't, and it's kind of made him look even worse again. So now, stocks, it's mixed what this could mean. Like Democrats can come in and spend a ton of money on fiscal measures, and you can something see a bounce that way. We actually saw a bounce after Biden was elected as well. You could argue it both ways. For crypto, I think it's more difficult to argue. I think we don't know how Kamala will treat crypto, but it's not just Kamala. I think it's some of the people in that administration will probably have an anti-crypto skew, and people are worried about 4 more years of potentially Gary Gensler, Elizabeth Warren, a few of the other anti-crypto army that are kind of in Washington. So that's been like the main worry, and that's what I think has been happening. Like yesterday's Fed news to me was bullish. They said they would cut rates. You've seen the Bank of England also cut rates today. You saw US stocks kind of rip higher after that, or at least regain some of the losses they've had. You had big gains in big tech. Nvidia was up 11%, for example, yesterday. This was a good day yesterday for macro. even gold is near all-time high. So gold, stocks, again, all doing well yesterday, and crypto went lower. And I can only really think that when you start isolating that down, it's probably due to that Trump effect. And then secondly, we seemingly continue to sell off whenever there's sort of tension in the Middle East. And obviously there's been a rise in kind of attacks over the last week, and talk of retribution, and maybe we sell off more than other markets due to that. I'm not really too sure why, but I'm just talking about historical rather than actually trying to make any sense of it. But for me, yeah, I feel like the main thing has probably been unwinding of the Trump trade. And you've seen kind of everything fall pretty substantially. Like I said, it's now, since that local high, Solana must be down about 15%. And Bitcoin is down nearly 10%. And ETH similarly, just over 10%. So yeah, decent move across the board. You've seen a little pockets of strength in things like DeFi. There's a lot of talk about DeFi now. DeFi protocols moving towards fee switches. So things like Aave have had a strong week, and a couple of like the DeFi 1.0, let's say, protocols could come to life on the back of a fee switch there. But meme coins, at least the top meme coins, have not done well. They've all sunk pretty badly. You have WIF, I think, below 2 again. Pepe's kind of holding up above 0.01, but yeah, some of the other hot meme coins of the last few months, like even MOG has had a big reversal, having looked like it was about to hit all-time high. That's moved substantially lower. So just a bad week. There's a lot of finger pointing, it feels like right now. Pump.fun actually had its biggest revenue day ever. I think yesterday or the day before, it made about $2.5 million in a day. It's now made, I believe, close to 80 million of cumulative revenue, Pump.fun. So kind of a crazy, this website was started in January. So kind of an insane move. Or maybe even in March, it looks like it was made. So, but yeah, its highest day ever was 2 days ago. And people are kind of wondering how long that can kind of continue. Mm-hmm. Because I think the difficult thing is when you have what happened with Nero happen, where on the back of it, you had a bunch of coins launch, which Pump.fun makes money on. And then you also had MEV bots just basically making so much on the trading side of things. All the Nero coins on Solana haven't really done that well. And a bunch of MEV bots probably made a ton. That's a lot of value kind of leaving the system. So people are just getting a little bit more wary about how long this can potentially continue, I think. Or at least I just see that sentiment on the timeline. I don't know. It feels like this feels more like a casino rather than a protocol. And I feel like people are going to come in and spend money on a casino whenever, because you can get those 0 to 100x moves still. But you can just see there's fatigue in Solana meme coins. And the reason why Nero and ETH, for some people, did well, apart from the idea, it has insiders. A lot of Solana coins also have insiders and don't do as well. Like, I think that there's just a lot of PvP at the moment on Sol, and a lot of funds and revenue seemingly leaving towards Pump.fun and these MEV bots. So it feels like a bit of an inflection point. It did maybe a few weeks ago too. To me, it kind of felt like, is this kind of the highs that we're going to see for meme coins? And then we kind of came roaring back. I don't know if it's just a sentiment thing, but yeah, it's just not good when you see huge volumes going through, Pump.fun having this biggest day, and none of the meme coins really hitting. It kind of just tells you that, oh god, like this is not a great environment for Solana meme coins, which has been the product market fit of this cycle, really.
I think it hurts confidence, and we've seen like the newer class, like some of the newer like cult coins get hit fairly hard in this move, which I don't think has helped. Maybe kind of coming back, an analogy I saw for Pump was to OpenSea. and just like the insane fees that OpenSea was raking in during the NFT bull from 2021. And I think one of the arguments I saw is that this pump can go a lot higher. It feels a little different to me because I feel like in the NFT run, it felt like more people were winning. And in this pump market, it like we've been talking about it a little bit. You called it out again today. It feels like it's the devs, it's the Mev bots, maybe a few early snipers, in the trenches, and then pump. Like really feel like they are the big winners. It feels less like all the players are winning right now. And I do wonder if that puts, somewhat of a ceiling on this.
Yeah, look, it's interesting because I'm not too sure with NFTs. I felt like people lost money too. They were just here to gamble. And I think as long as, the majors keep going higher, we probably still have this casino going. But there is a little bit of fatigue. Bitcoin has been between basically 60 and 70K since February. It has not really moved.
Yeah.
We kind of went up to 71K. We've kind of gone down to 50s briefly, but we've never really been outside of that 60 to 70K range for too long. So I think people are just getting a little bit bored potentially. And also that the top-down Ponzi, let's say, or the top-down pyramid of crypto hasn't really seen the gains at the top levels. Bitcoin is on its way to 100K right now. We'll all be at the casino straight away. But
yes,
when it's not, and you see these sort of figures where pump's just like crushing it, and the MEV bots are crushing it, then it's a little bit wary, I think.
Yeah, no, that logic makes sense to me. And by no means do I think pump is going away. I do think it is absolutely going to be here for this cycle. And I guess my point is we need a little bit more of to really keep this short term. But we'll see the folks are in this casino enough that they're just going to keep running this up every single night. And it seems like there is a new culture kind of forming around this at this point in time, which is hard to deny. You kind of went there on Nero. Froke and I spent a little bit of time talking about Nero yesterday. But curious, have you been following this one? I mean, this is like it's down now, but I mean, this has been the biggest outperformer of the week by far in what has been a pretty red week. Curious if you have any thoughts, reads, or you playing this?
Think it just seems like a classic insider pump. We've seen them happen on Solana, and they happen actually quite often on Solana, but none of them have really managed to last above 100 million. You had a few of them, which were like even more insider, like beer, where they own like 90% of it, and then they ran it all the way up. This feels a little bit more balanced. Like Nero does feel like, there are tons of people trying to come on the back of this, and there's a history of things, of obviously like the Doge joke. Like this feels decent-ish as a meme. Maybe not the best meme I've ever seen, but enough. It's not just like a random name like beer. But I do think this more shows to the idea that on Solana, this probably wouldn't have gotten this far, in my opinion. There's just too much temptation. And I honestly, I haven't been meme coining anywhere near what I had been, just because I've just got so much on my plate. But I've seen OSF come back into it a little bit. I think he sold some bags and wanted to kind of come into it. And he's just like, it is just crazy. Like you can be up on a coin, you're like, oh, this is going to be the one. And then there's just no loyalty. Because maybe not even loyalty, this is too much temptation. There's just a new coin every day. And and he's in quite and stuff. And, the same people that are in WIF will go into the next coin and the next coin and the next coin and the next coin. And the same people that were in, I don't know, BOEM or Mew or any of these PopCat, they'll just spin up another coin and they'll do it again. It's so easy to just make another one. So this thing I saw yesterday, which there was, I think if you go to Sisyphus's page, he retweeted it, which is how I saw it. But there was a good kind of talk about how, there we go, this one. Yeah, the trenches feel pretty cooked right at the moment. Going to lay out some data. He basically goes through nearly 1.6 million coins have been created now, 6,000 a day at the moment. Like that's a lot of memes, man. And we haven't seen. I'm trying to remember the stuff that's really run, like the stuff that has run recent. Billy, but where's Billy now?
It's back to 100 million.
100, right? Like the stuff, I haven't seen many new things that have run above 100 million for any sort of period of time. The only stuff that's really lasted there is stuff with it, which has been a bit more seasoned. Like Giga has gotten above there and kind of stayed above there, and maybe one or two others. But like, can you sort it by market cap? Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
this is really good.
Cap, yeah.
So like Mumu as well. Like Mumu is a 4-month-old meme. Giga's a 6-month-old meme. Billy is now back below 100. It's 1 month old. It just feels as though you can't keep these new memes above a certain level. Like I actually felt like that smoking chicken fish was doing something unique. I don't know, like that there's one that OSF went into, for example. I feel like if that had been on ETH as well, that may have run much, much higher than just like a random cat or dog meme. I don't know. Basically, I think everyone feels it. There's this fatigue there. Look at that. I mean, look at the 24-hour picture of that of these meme coins, man. Like this is bad. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
So, shout out to Farouk and his flog bag. It's like the only green coin on the board here, 100%. But this
really?
coming out, yeah, I think you got it. This
but
is
what's
one of
flog?
It's like an artist takeover coin. I'm not in this one. Actually, I don't have the full picture, but Try looks good right now.
I think I read this story. Yeah. The thing is that I just feel like, and it wasn't. It's not like NFTs or I remember when Pepe came up, right? And even some of the coins around Pepe, like we've spoken about, like Mog and Bobo, which were created in the months afterwards, they actually did a good job, I felt, of actually chats there, which people became part of, and people would be in them for months, and it really did feel like it felt similar to NFTs. When you're in the Discord and you're speaking to people in Discord and you're actually having relationships. You can feel like you're in such a good meme. Like this is a really good meme. This can run, and you just get blindsided because another one comes out the next day, and there's like no consistency. So that's basically what I think. I think some of these memes last year would have absolutely like cooked. Like some of them are actually all right. Yeah. But now it just feels like it's tough.
That's the reality. And we were able to make that argument back in Q1 where like meme coin communities are kind of like NFT projects. You've got your holders, they've got their group chats, like they're forming culture, and now like everything is just being speed run so much. And it's like, okay, we got to 30 million, we got to 50 million, let's on to the next one. And I feel like it's this sense that like let's take Billy, for example. Billy got to like 180. It feels much harder to pump that another 3 to 5x from there and actually go to 1 billion versus just like, let's just take over another one and run it to 30 to 50 million, which is basically, I feel like the new ones are happening on a weekly basis, right? Which I guess is where the action is if you can try to catch those that look like they have at least a week of longevity, but it feels like the timelines are just shorter than ever.
You put that image in my mind again of like the roller coaster, which gets gradually lower and lower and lower. It does feel like about a few months ago, reaching 100 million, quite a lot of coins were doing it. Now it feels like if you reach 50, it's like a real achievement. I don't know, but that just got me thinking. And I think we can even come back from this, but I'm just telling you where I see the market right now. It's that a lot of people are suddenly aware that this looks a little bit more fragile than at other times. And like Solana hit 192 and WIF didn't even break $3. Like Solana basically went back to, very close to its local high of this cycle, and WIF didn't go back. And I think that probably tells you that the L1 they could outperform here.
Yeah, I don't want to be like bearish at the bottom, but I am a little more concerned that we're seeing like the downward roller coaster loops, and that's what might be playing out. Well, perhaps enough time on memes here. I want to maybe just quickly come back to the FOMC meeting and just the impact on interest rates. And what was kind of jumped out to me from and I'm following it more on poly market. You may have there's likely better markets out there. But it looks like 3 rate cuts or 75 BPS is now the heavy favorite for 2024, which effectively would mean, either back-to-back cuts, September, October, November. And actually, I don't recall if they have November or December meetings, or else one bigger cut. So you can win this with 3 cuts of 25 or with a 50 and 25. But I feel like we at one point we were much higher than 3, and then we went back to like 1 or 2 cuts, and now it seems like 3 is back. Is that the consensus with what you're seeing as well? And any other reactions to what 3 cuts might mean? I lost you there for a second.
Can you see me now?
Yeah, I got you.
I think that 3 might be a little bit too far. I think we'll definitely get to. We will definitely get to. There's interest rates are really high. They're still really high, like 5.5%. That is with inflation at 2-ish. That's really high. And you've seen the Bank of England move to cut rates. The ECB has cut rates. So the other 2 big central banks have cut rates. I think it's 100% is happening in September. I think they're going to have to start cutting rates pretty quickly, if I'm honest. I think you're starting to see some weakness, particularly on the consumer side in the US. And I think you're going to see quite a lot of rate cuts.
That's why I thought I watched the presser yesterday with Powell, and I thought a few people asked the question kind of the same way. Is like, if you think this is coming so much, like, why not just cut now? Which I think was, and he laid out his answer. He has to have another month of data and whatnot. But that was the question that was also in my mind. Like, it feels so telegraphed at this point. Like, why wait another month? But that's their choice. It does seem pretty much all but confirmed is coming in the next one. On the poly market front, so they just closed out July. So just quickly, I've been tweeting about this a decent amount, but if folks haven't seen this, their growth is parabolic, and it's pretty hard to argue. So June was their record-setting month at 111 million, and they hit $387 million in volume in July, which I would have thought $1 billion month pretty much out of the question, but now it's just a 3x. Maybe. I mean, if there's enough political turmoil. I mean, this was also like one of those months that may just never be like recreated in history with everything that took place, with Biden dropping out of the race, with multiple VP noms, candidate switches, and all that. But like the growth looks pretty damn good, and they've got.
I think this is up
45. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think this is an up only figure until the election. Then I think it's after the election they have to really worry about. Like what does this site even make sense really at this sort of scale after the election? What would people bet on? They may move towards sports, they've said, but I think you might have to have like licenses for some of the stuff that they're basically doing there. They couldn't do it on certain things. I have been interested to see that they've gone after things like interest rates and stuff like that. For gambling, there's normally quite strong rules around betting on well, I guess securities, but I feel as though this could lead to people looking at them in a pretty strong lens. I feel like if it was more about the news rather than actual economic data, or maybe they can get around with it by talking about interest rates. I don't know, but the real thing, the real thing for them is what happens after the election. This site is going to crush it until the election. It's going to absolutely crush it. Imagine how much volume is going to go through on election night, because they'll probably bring up all the states.
Yes,
Nate Silver for a reason, right? Like he famously predicted all 50 states, I think. in his model, maybe the last 2 elections, or definitely he's known for like getting many of the battleground states right. And that's how he does his prediction. So I think, let's see. There's going to be insane volume that goes through this site.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we're already seeing, so like the Pennsylvania state election odds is already a top 20 market on here with over $1 million bet. And I think like the numbers have been big so far, but you've had to lock up the capital for a really long time. And I think that's been a part of the opportunity cost of decision. Like even if you really liked one of these lines, like in the presidential election market, for instance, you're still like, unless you're holding USDC, you're likely going to have to convert from like ETH or something else. So you are potentially risking the return on those assets. And even from USDC, like you're locking up your election bet money for another full 3 months, which is a long time in the crypto space. But like once we get into October, now it's like, okay, I mean, I can lock this up for a month, right? For a bet that I've got a lot more conviction in. So it feels like that's going to be a big month. And the states, I agree, are going to get very interesting because by then we'll have the models. And we saw this yesterday. So I tweeted it, like Nate Silver. So he updates his election model daily. He had a pretty big jump in his model yesterday. He went down from 61.39 Trump to 56.42. And then Polymarket's odds basically aligned to his. So I think if folks aren't following, so if you're in these markets, and like you're actually playing these bets, spend $10 to sub to Silver's model because it's going to give you an edge. If Polymarket is just going to keep conforming to whatever his odds are on a daily basis. Yeah. And this is a small sample size, but that's what happened yesterday.
This is getting interesting now, isn't it? 55.43. This is going to be, I mean, it's going to be a fucking battleground X for the next few months, right? Like
X is a battleground right now.
It's a joke at the moment, man. Like me and Obi were talking about it yesterday. Like, it's tough to be just on the timeline at the moment. Like, all I log on, and all I see is like politics and race baiting as like half my fucking timeline every single day. Which is tough because I think free speech is super important. And I think whenever I'm looking for the actual truth about something, I'll come to X. Or if I'm looking for live breaking news, I'll come to X, because you actually get the story. You get the truth around things actually much better. But this comes with a fat dollop of just, I just can't deal with it. You need to take me away from it occasionally.
It's getting rough. Mine is the same. And I only interact, for the most part with like crypto and NFT accounts. And still my For You page is like 75% like politics and just pure baiting and just vitriol. I think vitriol is the correct word for just like, these are angry posts from folks on both sides. And it does not make for a great experience. But I don't know.
It's weird because I feel like you can't have one without the other. That's what I've come to realize, is that to allow people to say what they like, then it's you get the truth around things, but you also just get clickbaity stuff, which often leads to like race baiting or like sensationalism and all this sort of stuff. And I think that's become so much around X at the moment. It is but like you said, I'm on there. I follow like crypto Twitter accounts. Like what why is this constantly on my feed? It's kind of crazy. But yeah, that's just the way it goes. It's just weird to me because I feel as though if people said half the stuff that they said on X on the street, they get arrested. Like it's kind of gone beyond free speech, in my opinion. I don't know where that ends, but like there are, even in the freest of countries, like the US, the UK, I would say a lot of Europe. I mean, people might say they're not 100% free, but on a spectrum of being allowed to do things, they still would be. And the stuff that people say on X it's just crazy. Like it is, people just spew hatred all the time. I feel like at the moment.
Yeah,
I wish I said he needs to go on a holiday.
Yeah, smart. it feels like we've gone a little bit too far. Maybe we're reaching an inflection point where things will just boil over and perhaps we'll come back to a little bit more normal. I think Elon has to be a little careful. So he banned one of the white guys for Kamala Twitter accounts yesterday, and I feel like X is either going to be the town hall, or it's going to be right leaning. And if he bought it to make it right leaning to align with his political views now, that's fine. And you can make strong arguments that other social media platforms are left leaning, and this balances it out. But once you cross that line, it's kind of hard to cross it. So he's got to be.
Why did he do that?
I haven't seen the rationale. I just saw the post that he had taken it down. So I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time on it without more details.
Yeah, but I agree with your sentiment. He's obviously come out very pro the right into this election, right? And for his own reasons. But that does seem like he's always going to be challenged now as someone who runs this. Like he has a political bias. He says he has a political bias. So for him to then be a proponent of free speech I guess you can be both, but you're always going to be liable to be attacked for that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Especially for folks if they think they're being fed more right-wing info, even if that's true or not.
Yeah.
But we've gone around the horn on this. Maybe just a quick couple NFT headlines on a lighter note to end things. So we saw Doodles. They've got a collab coming with Drink Arizona, so Arizona Tea. Pretty major partnership with them. And then did you follow the Machi? As a former Bored Ape.
I did.
This was a wild one. Let me try to get my screen back up here. 1 second. But he effectively, it was branded as a meme coin. I'm not really sure that that's what it is. So he's saying for too long, apes have desired to play in the meme coin swamps, couldn't do it. Now you can with help from ApeFi, introducing BAYC coin, ticker BAYC, a new meme coin fully backed by Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs. For each ape, you can go to their site, mint 100 million of this token for each Bored Ape that you send in. So I don't know, maybe I misunderstood this, but this feels like flooring protocol. Like, I guess how is this different than like what flooring protocol already did, where like you turn in an ape, you get X amount of coins for it, and then if you want,
I think it's the same. I think it's basically the same, and that's what these traders did. They realized that there was an ETH pool, basically an implied valuation for this, given the ETH in the pool, and they came in and basically made it so it was parity to what the valuation was. Machi does so many random things. Like honestly, he does so many random things. So I know he has his own like ape finance, I think was the name of the DeFi thing he did, and he was obviously involved in he's been involved in various different protocols along the way. So maybe he thinks there's a good idea. I honestly have no idea. But it does feel as though, look at that chart. That's the chart of the coin, right? It must be.
It is. And so like Sirius was the one who pointed this out, but apparently there was just this insane arbitrage where folks, as soon as he launched this, folks were buying their floor apes for 9 ETH, and then they were selling them for 30, 40, 55 ETH worth of the token, and then effectively selling those. And that's how you get a chart that looks like this. So I guess I don't understand the mechanics of how that happens. But
I don't think anyone really does.
Kudos to the sharks who figured that out. That's a hell of a trade.
Yeah. Maybe it was Machi. Who knows?
He's got like 35% of the friend tech LP.
Brother, I don't know how he trades. Like, honestly, he was buying Blast on the day that it came out, and they just dumped it all. He has this thing where he like draws a line in the sand on some token, and then it lasts for like a month, and then he just dumps it all. It was the same with Blur, same with Blast, same with Friend. It's all these like weird NFT style coins that he like tries to corner seemingly, and then just kind of like peeks out of them for a massive loss. It's like rinse repeat with this stuff. I don't really get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. All funded by the pre-sale that he launched a few months back. So maybe look out for the next one. He might be
Probably.
he might need it here. Well, I think that's the majority. We saw the Tether news, and not super exciting. Well, perhaps tradable. I guess just quickly on it. So Tether reported their quarterly earnings. They've got 5.2 billion in profits for the first half of 2024. They're holding. Let me see. They've got 4.7 billion in Bitcoin. They've got 98 billion in U.S. Treasuries, U.S. debt holdings, which outpaces like leading nation states. Like they've got more than Germany has. So like staggering figures. I think what it makes it interesting, I guess, is like Circle is looking to IPO soon. So one of their competitors, as I understand it, Circle rumored at a $5 billion valuation. So I feel like for those who have seen the numbers Tether's putting up, interesting to see a potential beta play there. So Tether at $5 billion.
Tether is a company.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this in 1 year, one half a year. Tether theoretically could be worth like over 100 billion very easily. It's making net profit annualized at over 10 billion, like 11 billion right there. You would normally value a company like this. I mean, banks are often valued slightly differently, but you could theoretically value this at like easily 10 times net earnings, right? I don't know what is the P ratio for banking stocks average, but 13.5.
Wow.
Well, so yeah, I mean, this is
125 billion. Yeah.
This is probably $100 billion company, or 11.25 actually. So, yeah, like I think easily they've crushed it. The business is insane. Running a stable coin is absolutely an insane business. There was actually interesting another company, Elixir. I don't know if you've seen that. They launched a competitor to the Ethena coin, and that's a massive increase in TVL. I think in just the first few days. This idea of you can short the futures against owning the spot, and then you get kind of synthetic dollar on the back of it. So Tether's business model, it's everywhere. There's no way they can IPO. I don't know who the hell's going to allow Tether to IPO. But theoretically, they've got an incredibly valuable company.
Yes. And then it raises the question. So they've got 114 billion market cap. The USDT rather has that 114 billion. Yeah. USDC has 33 billion. So we'll call it 30%. So do they have $30 billion upside if they look to integrate more of Tether's model, or that I actually don't know how Circle operates, if they operate in the same fashion as Tether, if they do the same with holdings and U.S. Treasuries or not. Not sure if you.
I think they just own. I think they just own Treasuries. Circle, and I'm not sure if it's only Treasuries or that they have to have just cash in hand as well. Whereas Tether's mix is a little bit more mixed. Let's say it's got some Bitcoin. They've got some commercial loans, but the vast majority is US Treasuries for sure. But Tether seemingly might not be possible. I mean, I don't think they've got a license under the MiCA rules yet, right? So there's a lot of talk about Tether not really being available to trade in Europe, and obviously there's a lot of questions about it in the US. My honest view is that Tether's going to probably dominate the backdoor trade of dollars going forward. I think it's probably going to be more on the illicit side than other stablecoins.
Yeah, and we'll see if more if their competitors who comply are able to reach that size. Likely a more of an uphill battle. Well, we went around the horn. I think some good chat here this morning. A little bit of a slower day, but still some good conversation. Anything else on your list here this morning? No,
you're going to CTO. Are you going to CTO a coin? Are we going to see? Are we going to see?
Yeah, everyone, look out for Frank's space tonight. I'm jumping in as a special guest. We're going to CTO a new coin together. So look out for that one. That's a joke, folks. I am usually asleep by 9:30 p.m. So I miss the demon MS where all the fun happens in the meme streets, and then I just see the bloody aftermath. Or it's actually usually pretty good when I wake up around 5:30, and then it starts dumping when everyone else wakes up.
Brother, it's tough to run a coin. I'm telling you that. It's not easy.
I do not envy that job. It feels very difficult, especially on the red days. But hopefully some greener pastures are in front of us. Man, this has been great. Folks, everyone, thank you for tuning in. We will catch you tomorrow. Froke is back. Should be a fun. Robot Spins are back as well. Should be a fun Friday show. Catch us tomorrow live at 10 a.m. Eastern. Until then, have a great day. Bye.